everybody. Rain, rain, rain. I don't know if I can get. Is that me? Yep. So today is Thursday, April the 3rd. I've been getting storm predictions all night. It's raining, been raining here since I've been here. So it's Thursday, April 3rd. And I'm going to like it. Tell everybody good morning. And we're going to share it to the regular internet and to memories and live videos. Okay, here we go. It's raining. It's going to rain till Sunday. Saturday, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Bill's in, George is in, Jeannie's in, Marilyn, Brittany, everybody's in. Where is the... Get the phone out before the Cleburne group chats in. Okay, where are we? I don't know if the Rangers won last night or if they played. We can find out. Texas Rangers. They won 1-0 over Cincinnati. They play tomorrow at home against the Tampa Bay Rays. Devil Rays, whatever they are. Now I gotta get back to the live video. Good morning to everybody. Yep, I went, I think I'm going to start stopping at that Blue Mound Cafe on Vickery. That's on my way home. I guess that's better than stopping at some other places, hamburger places. I ate that meatloaf special again. It's $12.99 plus tax. And they'll give you a cup of water to go. Make that smaller. Okay, so Robert is in. So the Rangers are playing pretty good. I wish they'd go ahead and say Jerry had signed that Micah Parsons or whatever he's going to do. Jerry always drags everything out. I think people are getting sick of all that crap. He's cried wolf too many times. I heard that. Somebody just texted me that was at the county commissioners meeting yesterday. Manny appointed me to the Tarrant Historical Association. But I hadn't gotten anything in paper, so y'all know me. I don't believe it until I till I get something. But they asked me for my email, and I gave it to them. So we'll see. That'll be good. That'll be a dream I've always had, to sit on that commission. I wished I would have been on it. It was started in the 70s. Back then I was chaining myself to buildings that I didn't want tore down, and they were bolt cutting me off and set me in a police car while they bulldozed them. 7th Street Theater, one of them. We actually had a writ coming from a judge downtown to stop the demolition of the 7th Street Theater. They cut the bolt cutters, cut me loose on that back side, and put me in a squad car, and then that bulldozer ran over the building. So there are some things that need to be saved. I know more than anybody, or as well as anybody. You can't save everything, but we've let a lot of stuff get away that should have been saved. Now, as far as the stockyards, I kept telling y'all, everybody, those buildings were falling apart. So if the group would have come up with several $1 million, that's what it took. There was no choice. The city didn't have, the city couldn't do it. So the outside sources, the California and the Nevada sources, came in, and they did a wonderful job. As a lot of things go that in different communities, people hate to see stuff that gets demolished, but on the other hand, they don't want to, they just want to argue. They don't want to. I think those developers did a great job. Of course, I would never stay at a hotel that's $1,000 a night. When you can go 2 miles and stay at the best room they've got on 35 or on 820 for $89. But yeah, well, if you was there, you saw me. Well, they ended up putting me in a squad car. That was one of my many. When they tore down Gooseneck Bill's house, I was chained to one of those pillars. They actually took me down. They didn't book me, but they took me down to the jail. And I sat there, and then I asked them to take me back. They said, "Get your own way." So, but I've been doing that for years. So yeah, it's if I am indeed a member now of or on the board at the Tarrant Historical Association, that'll be great. And when I heard that, I thanked Manny, and apparently it's true, because he said, "No, we're honored to have you, and hope you're doing all right." So you have to be appointed by one of the commissioners, and apparently yesterday I was appointed by Manny. Those appointments are 2-year stints. There's no statute. If you keep getting appointed, you can hold the job. So anyway, I'm waiting for information as to, it meets 5 or 6 times a year. I think it meets every other month. I don't know where they meet. I don't know any of that. So they'll have to bring me up to school on that. But thank you. But we'll save the congratulations until I actually get something in writing saying that that's what it is. And I assume that'll happen. Maybe this week or next week. Okay, so I have not heard back from Sherry on our birthday party. I need to kind of discuss that and finalize it. I'd said before Rex even opened his bar and grill that we would have the birthday party there and the boxing event. I did not know at that time what the prices were, and I'm not complaining about the prices. He's spent a fortune redoing that thing. It's the most beautiful sports bar I've ever even seen. It looks like it ought to be in Vegas. But we're going to have our birthday party there, but there's no way we can have our boxers are on welfare. There's no way that they're going to buy $20 hamburgers. So Rex will either have to make a special deal for that event, which I think he will, because how many sports bars in Fort Worth ever can say they had 5 world champions there in the same night? So I'm almost positive Rex will do just about whatever we need to do. Because it'll be, I'm sure he'll have something there for the boxers to sign and pictures made with them. Because we always bring, Don is always there, undisputed world champion. And in fact, at one time, when he and Bruce, his brother, held world champion titles, they were the first brother team to hold world titles at the same time. Gene Hatcher is always there, Mad Dog Hatcher. Stevie Cruz is always there. So there's 3 world champions. We're going to try real hard to get Troy Dorsey this time. Troy holds world championships in boxing, martial arts, and I think MMA. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. He's got a school, too, that he teaches. So I think if we can get Paulie, we can have 5 world champions there. I doubt seriously if there's another sports bar anywhere in the United States that can say that. In fact, I'd be willing to bet on it. So, and I'm going to try to help. The last year's Boxing in Cowtown, I talked to Don and I talked to Stevie and I talked to Jay and some of the other boxers and said, look, our Rex here is fixing to open a sports bar, and we can go to other sports bars and see if they'll pay you guys, not at our Boxing in Cowtown event, but just, at a regular event where they can advertise it, because those guys make no money. And I talked to Charlie Guerin, and I should have talked to Michael Crane. I'm going to message him. I'm going to call him. There's no, not a statue, but there's nothing honoring these world champions anywhere in our city. And believe me, I remember. I was over at Gorman's gym every day too. When Don was the undisputed welterweight or world champion, Jim Wright had, hey, get Don. I got to have my picture made with him. The mayor, Mike Moncrief, same thing. Everybody, we got to have pictures made with Don. Out at Ranger Stadium, had to have Don out there. Well, now that he draws nothing but welfare, there ain't nobody want to pay for a hamburger for him. That's BS. I think we might start advertising for Blue Mound. Yesterday, Dustin was there when I went to pick up my order. They were packed yesterday at 2 o'clock. That place is going to be a home run. Okay, Cleburne's, we got to go. Here's the deal. Okay, what's the deal? Can you give us a 2-minute version of Leonard Brothers? Yeah. Leonard's was opened by Marvin and Obadiah Leonard in 1918. The original store opened on December 19th, December 14th. I've just now pulled it up in my brain. 1918. It was at 111 Houston Street, North Houston Street. It was a 25-foot front storefront. And basically they started off selling, work pants, work jeans, stuff that regular people could buy to go to work and to live. It was a people store. It wasn't Stripling's Montings where they had all this fancy stuff. It was just a store for everyday people. In fact, they ended up opening another store where as they kept expanding, they ended up expanding to an 8-block area, 8 city blocks. In 1926, they started having other departments like food and produce and hardware and farming stuff. In 1929, they built a new building at 200 Houston that opened in 1930. That was that big building. In 1940, they had expanded to 8 city blocks. In 1948, they built a 5-story building that did not connect to the store, but there was an underground walkway, and a lot of people don't remember this. I remember it distinctly, where you could walk from Leonard's to Everybody's or to that 5-story building. Everybody's was a store that was more cheap than Leonard's. I know. I would go, my mother and grandmother would have me and other siblings, we'd be underneath those tables. You know, they had all those sale tables. But as you was walking underneath the street, they had these hawkers. You know, hey, come over here, get this cotton candy. We got these watches. I mean, it was like a circus under there. It was truly amazing. In 1962, they built the subway, which the train master control that ran the M&O subway and the Tandy subway is right here, Fort Worth Memories Museum. It's not in any other museum. The Leonards gave it to us. I do not know about that. There was a third brother. His name was Gary. The story I was told, and the Leonards don't even talk about it. I've asked Marty, I've asked David, I've asked Daniel, I asked Paul, the one that passed away, Obadiah, Obi's son, who'd been at the old museum many times. They just didn't talk about it. Here's the version I heard from somebody that knew. They said it was originally Marvin and Obadiah, but that Marvin and Gary opened up Leonard's Foods, and supposedly that was not connected to the Leonard's department store. Now, the Leonard's department store did have a food section, but this was something else, and apparently, now this is all not verified, this part. They said that Marvin and Gary got cross. Gary apparently thought that he should have some partnership in the Leonard's Brothers department stores, which at the time was Marvin and Obi, and apparently Marvin and him got crossways and he was ostracized from the family. I mean, Daniel and David said, I never met anybody, the two twins that are now late 60s, I guess. They were Paul that just passed away 2 or 3 years ago. His sons, the twin, I call them the twins. They said every once in a while, I think it was David. Daniel never has talked about it. One of them told me Gary's name was mentioned at a dinner table or something, but that immediately it was, we don't talk about that. So, yeah, that underground walkway was something else. I wish that I've looked on YouTube. They had knives. They had neat stuff that people would want to look at. And they sold cotton candy, and they had they'd hawk you in, you know. They'd say, hey, come over here and look at this. It was amazing. For a kid that didn't have any money, it was amazing. Sometimes I would get a ride down there, and that's how broke we were. I would sit down there for hours trying to figure out how I could steal something and get out of there without getting caught, and there just wasn't any way. So I ended up actually sweeping up for some of the vendors down there. They had some outside vendors, and so I kind of, if I was out in Smithfield or Richland Hills and I absolutely had nothing and I could get a ride down to Leonard's, I would work because I wasn't in school, I was out. I'd work down there and I knew I'd get enough to eat and have maybe $2 in my pocket or something. But it was amazing. It was magical, really, for kids. Our younger kids now, my own grandkids, they have no clue what it was like to get downtown and those 3 picture shows, the Worth, the Hollywood, and the Palace. You could take $1 down there. This is in the 50s, late 50s. You could take $1 with you, go to a picture show, have popcorn and a Coke, and still have 40 or 50 cents left. It was amazing. Of course, gas back then was 19 cents a gallon. But that is the 2-minute version. When Kyle comes over, he always says, give him the 5-minute version. Because, I'll just sit here and talk forever. But no, the Leonard brothers were... Now, if you Google them, the last time I didn't use Google, I used DuckDuckGo. They say that they had the first escalator. They might have had the first one that was put in, but Cress's operated first. And I verified that with Paul Leonard. He said, Larry, we had ours in before Cress, but the handrail pulled faster than the foot thing was going. So they had to get this maintenance guy to come over from Dallas, and he said, so that Saturday, Cress started theirs. On the following Wednesday, Leonard started theirs. So they might have had it put in first, but it didn't operate first. And also, I believe Leonard's was the first department store downtown that had the black and white water fountains taken out first. Yeah, War Wagon. Yeah. We were fortunate enough. Randolph Scott starred in the movie Fort Worth, and so the world premiere was here at the Hollywood. But we had 2 or 3 world premieres here, and they drew a crowd. That was back, Bill, when the War Wagon probably was on downtown at the Worth for 40 weeks. They didn't change them. You didn't have Netflix or any of that stuff. So you either had to go to a sit-down movie or go to a drive-in. Now, the drive-ins, you could kind of pick and choose movies that had been out for a while, but usually the Worth, the Palace, and the Hollywood, and I'm not sure about this, Bill, maybe you can help. Did they all run the same feature movie at the same time? I remember when Gone with the Wind came out, that thing ran forever, over a year, maybe over 2 years. And that was everywhere. And the Hollywood, the Worth, and the Palace, they didn't have, like now you go to the Rave Motion Pictures, there's 10 different screens, so they got 10 different movies. Back then, those movies, they only had one screen. And you know what was neat was they had a little newsreel before on some of them. Like at the drive-ins, I was talking to a group the other day. A lot of people don't remember. Of course, maybe some people didn't go up to the concession stands. I know a bunch of our crew, we'd park on the back row, and if you had to pee, you just did it out there. The girls didn't, but But at most of those drive-ins, like the Belknap, I know for sure, they had a swing set and playground for kids, and in the summer you could bring your lounge chair with you and sit out there, and I mean, it was just neat. It was a different time. I don't remember either. That's a good question. I just signed up a new real estate, Dana Lang, and she is all in favor of what I've wanted to do for years. Every Saturday, have a 1 or 2 hour roundtable and have people that are knowledgeable about music or downtown or theaters or planes or boats. And so that'll be a good thing to ask. Because those three were really fine theaters. I've got a picture of when at the Worth Theater, and you can go to Memories, the main page, go to the Spyglass and put Worth Theater, and one of the photos that pops up will show you the line of kids that was down the block when the Babe Ruth story was on. And that was many, many weeks. So, really though, if you had the opportunity to go downtown back in the 50s or 60s or 70s, well, the hippie deal started coming in and everybody was smoking weed and drinking beer, but prior to that, it was magical down there. Especially a kid from Smithfield or Richland Hills, Texas, that didn't have a quarter. So see, when Fort Worth was first formed or founded, whatever, there was no suburbs. They didn't start till the 50s. So everybody lived close proximity to downtown. So they were there, but of course we didn't have any of the fancy-dancy movie theaters or none of that back then. But once in the teens and 20s, when the big department stores were coming in, Stripling's, Monnings, Meacham's, Burton's, there was a lot of different department stores that were down there, and it was just for somebody that you didn't get to go downtown that often, and if you did, you could spend all day just walking around and not spend a quarter. The Hollywood Theater is still there. I was going to ask Michael Crane that. If we get the opportunity to interview Maddie or any of the other city council members, I'm going to ask them why the city, it's not owned by the city. That building is next to the electric building where the electric apartments are. But that theater is still there. Everything except the floor. The floor they had to take out because there's a parking garage underneath, but you could put a floor in there. Everything else is still there, the screen and the whole deal. And the way I got those pictures, this was back when I was still downtown on 7th, 1015 West 7th. And one of our members called me and said, "Hey Larry, I live in the electric apartments," or maybe it was later in the 70s, maybe it was the 80s. Anyway, somebody called me and said there was an explosion, a small explosion, and it blew a hole in that common wall that would have gone into the Hollywood Theater. So I said, great. So I took a hard hat out of the museum from when DFW was opened. I have a hard hat. It's still here. I put that hat on, drove my truck downtown, parked, and I walked through that hole where I had to bend down, and a lady that worked in that other building said, "Hey, who are you? Wah, wah, wah." And I said, I just pulled my money clip deal where I keep my driver's license and just kind of showed it to her where she couldn't see it. And I said, "Ma'am, I'm with the city. We heard about this explosion. I'm down here wanting to know what's going on." "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." I said, "Can you turn some lights on?" She said, "Yeah." She went around and turned the lights on. I said, "I need to check the whole building out." So I went over there where the theater part was, and I was taking photos. And one of the developers, and I still to this day don't remember who it was, he said, "That guy don't work for the city, that's Larry O'Neill, get him out of here." That's how those photographs existed. But it's still there. I don't know why the city doesn't buy it and make that like or Visit Fort Worth, or whoever sells Fort Worth, why they don't buy that, open that theater deal back up. Of course, these old theaters we've seen with the ISIS and all of them, they're not going to make enough money to exist. But the city is always broke anyway. And have it as a visitor's deal. This is an old theater from back in the 50s and 60s. Just a stupid idea, but now if I truly am on the Tarrant Historic Society or whatever that is, somebody the person that told me said you can go watch the Tarrant Commissioners yesterday and it'll say Manny says your name. So if that is really true, I'll be able to tell you why we can't get that done. We do all this other stupid stuff. For instance, that roundabout over by the Golden Gloves Gym, White Settlement Road, I call it the trash can. It's looks like aluminum at the start of the end by downtown, and I think they said we paid $70,000 for that thing. So anyway, yes, I did. Who was it? My father told me he met you at the Golden Gloves Gym or Gorman's. Well, I thought it, yeah, there, both of them. I don't what was his name? James Trevino. I know a lot of Trevinos, but I'm sorry, I just don't. He used to come down to the store I had downtown next to the Firestone and talk to me. Yeah. I just don't. Did he work for the city or the water department? Yeah, I do remember him. Is he still with us? Passed away last year. I'm sorry to hear that. No, he was a good guy. Yeah. That was in my drinking days. We'd go downtown. Me and your dad would go downtown to Kenny's. It was a little old bar down on Houston. And drink beer. Yeah, I knew your dad. Yeah. Yeah, I remember him. What was the theater that still, yeah, that's the Hollywood. Okay, let's do the sponsors. We're going to start here with Winstead Paint and Body. They are on White Settlement Road, a block past Roberts Cutoff. I've been doing business with the Winstead family for 40 years, way before Clay was there. But Clay and them, they fixed my truck, did a great job. They do great work. Scott is our IT guru. He can build you a website or do consultation on something wrong with your internet or whatever. Lance Sanders' company is Alpha Design and Build. They are remodelers. They will remodel your home or your business. They do commercial and residential. Or they'll put a second story on your home or your business. Fort Worth Florist. Jeanette and her team. All you got to do is make that call, 817-244-2345. They're ready, willing, and able to send flowers for funerals, weddings, just because or whatever. G2 Garage, Chris and his team over there. I just posted some other specials they're running that are running up and down the main page. They are in the White Settlement area. Phelps Family Auto Care is in the Burleson area. And when I talked to Mike Phelps and his wife, they are planning on expanding to another shop in the Burleson area. Stroud Auto Supply, Danny Stroud and his wife, they are the second generation. I bought auto parts there when I was 15 or 16 years old. They're in the Haltom City, Riverside area. Swartz and Hanson, they are our architectural sponsor, very active in the bike giveaway. Tri-State Dent are our paintless dent removal people. If you got hail damage, door dings, whatever, they can take care of it. Just call them. They'll send somebody out. You don't have to. They do have a storefront, but they'll send people to you. There's Tri-State Dent again. Casey Crawl. They are experts on Medicare, Medicaid. So, okay, thank you. So, we've gotten a lot of good reviews too. That trying to navigate through Medicare and Medicaid is a nightmare. Call the experts. If you can't go to them, they'll come to you. They'll meet you at a restaurant, whatever. Rains Plumbing. We just had several good reviews. Robert Rivera, I think he's on here now. They just came out and did some work at their house, at Connie and Robert's house. Charlie Guerin, Railhead Barbecue. Charlie is on the board of directors at Larry's Kids. Do what? I just watched it. You were named. Okay, good. Well, I guess they'll send me something or something. Charlie is on the board of directors at Larry's Kids. He is also our state rep. Owns Railhead Barbecue. His brother is Pete Guerin, who runs the Sid Richardson Foundation. And Charlie had a lot to do with them donating $5,000 to our bike drive last year. Optimist Club of Fort Worth. Jeff Norman was just in here several Saturdays ago. He explained all the fantastic stuff that the Optimist Club does for our youth, boys and girls. Old South Pancake House. There's 2 locations. One on 1500 block of South University that's open 24/7. In the same parking lot is Rex's Bar and Grill. And like I say, that thing, if you haven't seen it, that would be equivalent. If you've been to Vegas, how fancy they do their deals, that would be equivalent of that. But there's also an Old South in Burleson that's not open 24/7. It's open 7 days a week, but they close at 9 or 10 at night, you know. So Rex Benson. Jenny Stewart is our State Farm insurance lady. If you're not using State Farm, call and get a quote, and they will probably save you some money. Congratulations on your appointment. Thank you, Catherine. That's an honor. Really, it's an honor. Anyway, Jenny Stewart, she is also running for City Council District 9. That's the district this museum is in. So we'll see what happens there. Cross Electric, Brandon Cross, they were nominated on that DFW's favorites. I posted their stuff the other day, and Manny Ramirez said they use them. I guess that's the county and him personally. So we've been getting a lot of good reviews. I try to post them at the end of every month or the start of the next month. K-Ranch Roofing. Jorge Hernandez is the owner. They've got several teams of roofers. They put on a lot of roofs for our members also. Thank you. So if you think you might have roof damage, don't try to get up there and see. You'll fall down off the roof and break your leg or worse. Call the number and get Bree. She is the office manager lady, and she'll send one of their qualified people out to take a look, and they don't charge you for that. Fort Worth Lumber. They have been with me many, maybe 10 years. Sponsor and on the bike giveaway. They're on the South Freeway. They do, if you need lumber, materials, plans, just need to talk to somebody about building something, Fort Worth Lumber is the answer. Dickie Carr, that's Richard Carr's nephew, and I've interviewed that young man a couple of times. He's in his company is Grateful for Your Trees. They remove trees, trim trees, grind down stumps. There's a list of some of the stuff they do. They do all kinds of stuff. And they are hungry and ready for work. Y'all give them a call. Trying to navigate here. I don't know how I get this thing mixed up. Hold on. Okay, now we're back. Steve Coburn, Coburn's Catering. They just got through in January finishing up the stock show. They cater out there. So they'll cater your party or event no matter how big or how small. When they do the stock show, you can figure out they got more than enough people. I bet he's got 100, 150 employees. Steve Coburn. I've known the Coburns since 1960. They actually started over on North Main with a cafeteria in 1946. Pat and Richard Carr have Dickie Carr Sand and Gravel. Pat and Richard are very active in all things Fort Worth, Tarrant County. When I made the bicycle giveaway a non-profit last year, they stepped up immediately and wrote a check for $5,000 for Larry's kids. Great job. A Bird AC and Heating. That's Dub Peacock's company. Oh, okay, thank you. Yep, and he's one of the Polly Peacock boys. I know I fought half of them. Jesus, there were 7 or 8 of them. And if you fought one of them, you had to fight them all. But anyway, A Bird AC and Heating. So if you think you got heat, if your central unit is going out, or window units or anything, that's their specialty. So call them and let them come out and take a look. Now I need to, there it is. There's Eric Walsh. He's a real estate developer, and he's also on the board at Larry's Kids. Wes Williams is always on the board. Is also on the board at Larry's Kids. Yellow Snake Horses, Brazos River Ranch. She has got about 180 or 200 acres down on the Brazos. You go down 20 till you hit Millsap, take that exit, and you can go horseback riding for a couple of hours for $75. That's pretty doggone cheap. You don't have to be a seasoned horse rider. Take kids, grandkids, whatever. We're trying to plan a picnic down there for the spring. Sherry Holt is on that right now. We came out second in the Major League Baseball stadium. That's strictly our group did that. When we started voting for that USA Today poll a few weeks ago, we were 18th. We ended up number 2. That's pretty good in front of Fenway, Yankee Stadium, all these other places. Dodger Yeah, you don't have to have a car. You just come by and shoot the breeze, talk about whatever. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start having a Saturday 2-hour roundtable. Try to have 5 or 6 people at the table and get everybody's input on what they think or what they know. Because we've got a lot of great people here in town that are very knowledgeable about stuff here. One question I've got that I wish people would start researching. Okay, thank you. Cleburne's out. Is did those 3 movie houses show the same? Because back then there was only one feature movie ever so often. Like I say, they'd stay at the theaters for 6 months. That's back when people wear a coat and tie to go to the theater. Nowadays, you go to church. I took the grandkids the other day, a couple of Sundays ago, there in Springtown. I promise, hand to God, 2 girls going in, and I promise you they're wearing pajamas and flip-flops. Now, that's just the facts. So, where have we gotten to? And I've been thinking about this. I had a discussion with a gentleman that works for Apple, and I've been hearing this. He said, Larry, in 10 years, there'll be a lot of doctors and attorneys out of business. This AI, you won't need a... I mean, technology might be a great thing. It is. Thank God they can't wash cars yet, or they can wash them, they can't detail them. But it's going to put a lot of people out of work. And I just saw where Elon Musk offered $98 million for the AI company or something. I guess Zuckerberg owns that. What in the hell? That's the pickleball court. Turn their music up. 7:47. Anyway, it's raining. I think it's going to rain till Sunday. I promise you, I might go back to Blue Mound on Vickery. When we were there, Hal J was there. I mean, that place is a home run. Yeah, Robert's on here now. Robert said that Raines Plumbing did a great job. Really, your dad used to run around with him? Well, me and my brothers, we didn't run around with him. We fought him. I mean, that was kind of a sporting thing back in the day. For people of my age, you remember we'd go cruising through Carlson's or the Clovers or what was that other one that Rex's daddy owned? There was 3 or 4 of those drive-through or those places where they had car hops, and people would just sit there and park all night. Girls would switch cars, guys would switch cars. Lone Star, that was the one Dave Benson owned, and it didn't take long. You go to that Clover over on Rosedale, and them Peacock boys would be there. And of course, it didn't take much drop of a hat to start an argument. And I promise you, those Peacock boys, we never beat them. Never. They knew they were in a fight. That was back when there was actual fights, not guns. Great, Robert. There wasn't no guns or knives or chains. Just good old fist fights. That's why your hands are so messed up at an older age. Okay, I gotta start posting some stuff. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm gonna stop there every day. I'm going there today. I might switch and see what else is special, but their specials are $12.99. And when Dustin was there yesterday, I told him that meatloaf. Very first time I ever had that meatloaf that they sell was several years ago. We were detailing one of his cars, and he brought me and Rosie a plate lunch. And you can go to any one of those 5 Blue Mound cafes, and that meatloaf's all the same. I mean, it's consistent every single time, year after year. And they've taken over those Dixie House and all of that. The one in Haltom City used to be a Dixie House. But, yeah, it's a great place. Yeah. Yeah, most of those places, that's where kids congregated. I remember that Griff's over on Belknap. They'd run you off from there. Great Monterey chicken. What's Monterey chicken? I'll have to Google that. They give you plenty of food, and I'm gonna tell you, for $12.99, uh, it's a great place to eat. Service is good. People are friendly. All right, I gotta run. I got stuff I gotta try to get going. I need a paint contractor if anybody knows one. Just had another job. A guy called me a week ago. He hired somebody out of Irving. It's ridiculous. Okay, I will talk to y'all later. If you go out, take an umbrella. It's going to rain.